As we mentioned, voters in California today are choosing which two candidates will head to the general election in November, including who will face off to replace retiring Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi as she steps down after nearly 4 decades in Congress. Polling currently indicates a heated race among 3 Democrats in the 11th congressional district, with Pelosi giving San Francisco Supervisor Connie her endorsement in the final weeks of this race after originally saying she would not back a candidate.
She's a mom who knows her power and knows her why. I am confident Connie is ready to bring clarity and purpose to the work ahead for the children.
And joining me now is Connie Chan. Thank you so much for joining us. Nancy Pelosi endorsed you 2 weeks ago. What has her endorsement meant to your campaign?
Well, happy Election Day, Gabe. Her endorsement is absolutely an honor and definitely is also changing tide for us in San Francisco. She has been representing San Francisco very well for the last almost 4 decades, and we have elected her time and again. So it is time for her to say that San Franciscans get ready to vote for the next phase for San Francisco's future.
Now, you've said that you want to build on Speaker Pelosi's legacy, but is there anything you do differently from her if you were elected to Congress?
Well, look, she has done tremendous for the nation, really passing the Affordable Care Act, making sure that people, even with pre-existing medical condition, can have health care. But it is time for us to move forward to make sure that we not only reverse Trump's cuts to health care, we expand those care. We got to lower the medication prices. We have to break the insurance monopoly, and we have to make sure that every American can actually afford health care.
And you're running on a progressive platform, Medicare for all, defunding ICE, taxing billionaires. What would your day one priority be if elected?
Absolutely is healthcare, to expand Medicare for all, and really also making sure that every family have affordable childcare, fully funded K-12 classroom, and what we have in San Francisco, a free city college, that we should make that nationwide. We want to see a meaningful pathway to citizenship, and those will be our priority day one.
And San Francisco is known as a bastion of progressive politics, but a recent poll showed that Democrats nationwide are wanting the party to move toward the center rather than the left. The candidate leading in your primary, Scott Wiener, has boasted that his, quote, left rather than lefter agenda. Now, what do you say to Democrats who would like to see the party take a more moderate approach to politics?
I think what it actually really means is not just the politics. What it actually means is people want to see Democratic Party delivering for the working people, to say that this is a moment that we see Trump is putting $1.5 trillion in our war. It is time to actually put that oversight power on the Trump administration and making sure that money actually goes back to the American people. That is what I believe is what American people and working families would like to see the Democratic Party to move towards.
So we did speak with one of your opponents yesterday, Choikat Chakrabarty, who's you're neck and neck with in the polls here for a second place in his primary. He says that the Democratic Party is in deep need of reform and that Democrats need to root out corruption within the party. Do you think that the Democratic Party needs to be fixed?
Well, I have to say, I much rather be in a party where there's diverse school of thoughts and spectrum of blues than looking at the Republican Party. Let's not give them a pass right now. This is a party that is a one-man party with one direction. I would say that while we definitely have room for improvements, we should not give the Republican Party a pass.
But do you think the Democratic Party needs to be fixed?
Oh, I mean, we definitely need to do better because what people want to see is that we can actually deliver for them. When the gas prices is high, when Trump actually pushed forward with these unreasonable tariffs and the illegal war in Iran, what people want to see is that the Democratic Party actually has the backbone to be able to rein in the Trump administration and deliver for them. And so that is what they want to see. And absolutely, we got to move towards that direction. And that is what this primary is about. That is what this midterm is about. We've got to take back the House.
Now, speaking of the House, your opponent says that Democrats need new leadership in the House and that he would not back Hakeem Jeffries as leader. Would you support Hakeem Jeffries to continue leading House Democrats, especially if Democrats win back the majority?
Well, I have to say, for San Francisco and for San Franciscans, what we deserve is a leader that will actually understand who we are and about our values and be able to help us to deliver for San Franciscans. And no one should really be able to just have and own that entitled leadership role. Everybody needs to be able to earn that vote. And I think that Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is no exception. But I absolutely am open to have that conversation with him and look forward to seeing what that would look like even when we land in Congress.
So in your mind, Hakeem Jeffries has not earned that role yet, even though he was a handpicked successor of Nancy Pelosi.
Well, in my mind, I think that he has been leading the party and he has been leading that fight. He absolutely it's in the position to earn that role and earn that leadership. And I'm absolutely open to that conversation.
And final question, California Congressman Ro Khanna is continuing to back Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner, holding a rally with him later this week. This, of course, comes amid a slew of controversy in that race. Plattner sending sexually explicit text messages to questions over that Nazi tattoo that he once had, that he said he didn't realize was a Nazi tattoo or resembled it. Do you think Graham Plattner should remain in the race in Maine?
I mean, he is now by default that he is in that race. And I would say this again for Democrats across the nation is that we have to identify candidates that actually deliver for the working people, and that this is absolutely the decisions by Democrats that within Maine and within the district. And I really will support any Democrats in Maine should this be their candidate. It's what they want to push. And it seems like that is the direction. And so as part of the party, we have to make sure we get and take back the House this fall. And at the same time, and understand that we have to be inclusive and there's a spectrum of blues across the nation. And so this is the direction we're going.
Connie Chan, running for Nancy Pelosi's seat in Congress. Thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.